All right, I'm ready.
In progress.
All right, good evening and welcome to the December 7th, 2022 council meeting, 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John,
Here.
Mr. Ghost,
Here.
Mr. Grubney,
Here.
Mrs. Cooper, here, Mr. Capel,
Here.
Mr. Neff,
Here.
Dave Martin is absent.
All right, 6 present. We had a meeting on, November 30th, 2022. Could I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Cooper.
Second.
Second by Councilman Grumney. Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper? Yes. Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
All right, we're on the visitors section. Are there any visitors that would like to speak this evening? Committee reports. Mr. Ghost.
Yes, we held the monthly parks meeting earlier this evening. Excuse me. Now, two main topics of discussion were the two parks, J.R. Smith and the reservoir. We have some more planning to do with J.R. Smith. We might have to pump the brakes a little. Pretty safe to say we are going to pump the brakes a little bit on J.R. Smith and take a closer look at how we want to plan that out conceptually. And, from a higher level, strategically, it's potentially possible we may look at, or we are going to look at, maybe including another park or two in a bond issue further down the road and do everything all at once, as opposed to, or putting that out to the public for a vote and doing it all at once, as opposed to a piecemeal plan and doing J.R. Smith first. So we have some more planning to do with that. And Reservoir Park, we have some additional costs there. We gotta look a little bit closer into. And we had Daryl talk to us and Steve about the MORPC technical assistance program and what we're going to do there. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ghost. Mr. Grumney.
I do not.
All right. Mr. Capel.
Had a information filled services committee session just prior to this. We had a brief presentation from a fellow from Scioto Energy, Fritz, what was his last name? Great. Talking about our electricity aggregation program. And we're going to look at doing that again potentially next year. Then we talked about Walnut Street stabilization and the potential remediation for that, which we are currently in the process of applying for a grant to look into that work. Then also reviewed the syncing of the traffic lights throughout a couple of the intersections throughout the city to hopefully mitigate some of the congestion that we've seen at key times of day. Reviewed the stormwater utility management plan as well. And then Wes gave us an overview of some of the updates that have happened with the ArcGIS program.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Capel. Mrs. Cooper.
Not since last week, no.
All right.
Nothing to report.
Okay. And then there was one update that we missed on the zoning update last week.
What, between the two of us?
There were 4 issues and it was Rolling Hills,
The final one.
the final plat.
We didn't say that?
We didn't say it, but we
meant to.
did.
Okay. Sorry.
So
That's because you rushed me.
I'm sorry. And it looks like it's on the agenda for this evening. Okay. No other committee reports. We do not have a police report tonight, but I will say you should have received a copy of the final
FOP and City of Sunbury collective bargaining agreement, currently being voted on by the bargaining unit. And they have until Monday to close that out. Please review it. I know I've got some questions that we need to answer from different council members, but if you have questions, please forward them to me or the chief or DC Wade. All right, administrators report, Mr. Piles.
Thank you, Mayor. Also a fairly thin report, given we met just 1 week ago today. I did want to note that with ODNR, we did respond to their dam inspection report, which is a couple of years old now. It took them to get to us. They seem to be happy with our response document and the fact that we were able to document that we had already started in and corrected some of the issues that they had noted in the report, and it's going to move up their approval chain. Tree City USA was submitted and approved and is moving up an approval chain. We received word today that our wheeled loader has reached our local dealer, which is good. They've got to do some testing and put on a few bells and whistles that they ship them. They attach a few things once they arrive. And, but we expect that within a week. And, I just wanted to note, one of the things we've been trying to do with our wastewater department is to advance some of those employees through the certification process on becoming state certified operators. Two of the employees took the test last week, and it was the state administered one, so it'll take them a little while to get results, but we're hopeful. Maybe we'll hit 100, hopefully we'll hit 50, but it is a test, and it is got some criteria, so we will see. And with that, I'll answer any questions that might have been prompted from my report or anything else that's on your minds.
Do we have any kind of incentive built in for passing that test and becoming certified?
We don't formally, but I've committed to Dale that they bring a certificate, and we will take that into account as we're going through wages and any increases that might be given on an annual basis. So
Because we obviously want as many to do that as can and
Yes.
hire new people through.
Yeah. We do that with CDL as well, right?
yes, we do.
Good question. I did have a question I forgot to ask in services. There's a vac truck that I believe we're doing a test or a demo of. Is that coming up?
Yeah, is that tomorrow, Daryl? Yeah.
Okay. Great. Really looking forward to hearing how that goes.
Yeah.
Because our vac truck's fairly old, and it breaks down often.
It is. And that last repair was like a $4,000 repair. So
The vac truck,
crazy.
can suck the underground pipes or blow the
It'll
debris
do both,
through
yeah.
high pressure. The one that we're looking at is a little bit of a smaller unit, but probably just as functional. It actually may be more functional given the smaller size potentially. So looking forward to hearing how that goes at our next services meeting. Great. Great. Anything else from Mr. Piles?
Note here that you tested the floodlights town hall, Steve. Are they
Mhm.
all back up and running?
I believe so. They were on Saturday. I
They
guess.
aren't tonight.
They aren't tonight.
Something is going on.
Okay.
Yeah, let's recheck them. Oh, I thought it was kind of dark out there when I walked up. Now I think it was.
Saturday though, I remember, which was important.
It was on Saturday. Okay, sporadic success with floodlights. Got it.
Anything else for Mr. Piles? Okay, we're on the engineer's report, Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. Just an update on Fallen Heroes Trail. Council approved that bid at the last meeting. We are moving through the construction the contract phase right now, so expect a pre-construction meeting shortly. Just a recap on that, it was $190,000 and some change from Facemeyer Company. And the grant dollars on that are $50,568.50. And that'll answer Mr. Goss's question from the Parks Committee.
Mhm. Thank you.
Sure. And as we mentioned in service, we are in knee deep in FEMA questions on the Walnut Street slope stabilization project. So that will bring in some additional grant dollars as well, to the tune of close to 400,000. And thanks again to Mr. Parkinson from our office to getting that project started. And just a couple updates on some of the private development projects. Tomorrow, we just have a Teams meeting with the design team from DRK they're going to start preparing construction drawings for the ravines at Meadow Ridge. So their detailed design process is starting. In the Eagle Creek subdivision on 3Bs and a K, we do have the construction drawings right now, and we are reviewing those. So those two projects are moving forward. And you're aware of the other ones on the Granville Street multifamily rezoning approved and the Kittner Crossing rezoning approved. As those move through, we expect construction drawing process to start on those after it makes its way through the 30-day period and so on. That's all I have. Any questions?
Questions? Great work, Mr. Hall. Thank you. All right, we have no resolutions. We're under ordinances. All first readings, ordinance number 2022.50, an ordinance approving the commercial and industrial site plan and building application of Cutler Properties Limited for construction of storage buildings to be located at 601 West Cherry Street. We have the applicant here this evening. This past zoning would have been last week, last Monday. And Mr. Cutler.
Thank you, Mayor St. John. My name is Jeff Cutler with Cutler Properties. I was in front of the zoning commission last month in November for 4 buildings. 2 of them are a standard main storage building, the 2 buildings to the east part of the property, and the rear building is really more of a higher overhead door, 14-foot overhead door, more what we call flex, more flex space type storage. Building the very far west, a 30-foot wide building up against the detention pond, and that will probably want to get 10 to 12 foot of doors. The only change to the plan versus what from zoning commission, we added more landscaping along West Cherry Street than the last meeting. So zoning commission members thought we should draw up for city council to consider. As far as the engineering, we poured over, we're about 90% finished on the engineering. We're hoping 90%. We've been working with Wes and his team. My engineer not here tonight, he had a family issue.
Excuse me.
Broken gives the engineering. Third reading. Might take. That's what.
Okay, great. And this is not a rezoning. It's already zoned appropriately. And this is a commercial and industrial site plan. Are there any questions or comments for the applicant or from staff?
I'd like to get some input from Mr. Hall. Any potential major engineering issues that you see at this point, Wes?
We took a look fairly hard at the rezoning stage. We've identified all those in our comment letter, and the applicant is moving through and addressing all those. Nothing major. We got to figure out, make sure drainage works okay as it moves towards Cherry Street from that area. Again, screening was a component that we need to double check. We do need to take a look at the turning radius in between the buildings with the truck turning radiuses. So, but those buildings are about 28 to 30 feet apart, same as the mini storage right east of this property. So
That's Twin Bear.
very similar distance between buildings. So no, there's really no major engineering issues that I can think of.
Well, they look in appearance the same or very similar to Twin Bear. That's adjacent to your property, those units.
Yes.
Same height for the most part.
Well, that's one question I have in the West, big miles of roof pitch, some of theirs are 112 and some of them are 3 or 4 as well. There's no mix of roof elevations. That we can do.
I think your application said it would be a sloped roof and it looked fairly minor, but the code just says it has to be a sloped roof. So we didn't specify a pitch on the industrial buildings, knowing that a lot of the industrial buildings are flat roofs, but on that size, I think it did call out. So we'd have to double check with you, but it does have to slope.
When we get to the next group, it's submitted to your point, that's when that gets addressed and all that.
Correct.
We
What's your plans for exterior cladding, Mr. Cutler?
that's your side.
Yeah.
Most of them 24 to 26 gauge. This is this year. It's the roofs are stained sea metal,
Mhm.
no exposed fasteners.
I think that's similar to what Twin Bear is next door, isn't it? Similar in appearance, quality. Okay. Do you have any plans for that vacant parcel out front at this point?
Well, that's one thing. I like to, I talked to Mr. Paz a little bit last week about a tip. I think we're unreceptive to doing a tip, but I think if we're gonna do that, we should plan out the rest of the property. Go back to zoning commission. What we're gonna do on that, we're gonna do a tip, and get the whole property planned out there.
Sounds like a good idea. Okay.
Any comments or questions?
I didn't see what this was plotted out to look like before, but I appreciate the trees and landscaping being where it is. I think that'll be nice there.
I agree. One other question that the commission had was just around stormwater and how the runoff would go. I think this goes into where Kintner Crossing is going to go. So it goes across the road and down behind Cheshire Road, ultimately into Little Walnut Creek. And there is a detention basin. There's not one today. In theory, this should actually improve drainage in and around the area.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Wes, but basically, it's a pretty flat site, site that graves and tilted to the west and drain the detention pond.
Correct. Yeah, the site will drain towards that detention basin through storm sewer and then it'll discharge to 37, which will go underneath the culvert to the Cheshire Road ditch, essentially. That's the pattern.
Any other comments, questions for the applicant? All right, this is the first reading. We'll see you back in a week or no, 2 weeks.
Yeah, we both have postponed to January, holidays coming up, or does it have to be a certain time?
We can do a second reading without you here unless you think we should table it, right?
Yeah, it's up to you, Jeff. I mean, normally we just do the 3 readings, and if we get to the third, have the third, and we're not ready to go forward, we table it at that point. So the readings are out of the way. But
I'm just afraid it won't be tough engineering.
right. And prior to passing it, you can just let us know. If the next reading, second reading is December 21st.
Mhm.
Then the next reading will be in January, at the first meeting in January, whatever that date is. And then we could table it at that time if you're not ready.
We'll do it.
Okay.
21st.
21st,
Yes,
right. 2 weeks from tonight.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We have another first reading on the agenda. It's ordinance number 2022.51. An ordinance approving the final plat for Sunbury Rolling Hills, Section 3, Phase A, and declaring an emergency. We have the applicant here, Mr. Jim Olin from the Romanelli Company. This did pass unanimously and zoning. And at the pace of the development, as of 10 this morning, it looks like they're ready to open up another section. I think everything's sold already. Would you like to speak just briefly about maybe where this fits in the broader context of Rolling Hills And then maybe how many additional approvals are you looking to do?
Jim Long with Armada Hughes, 148 West Rock Road, Industrial. Right now, the first phase was 84 lots, already 54 sold. Rockford's actually sold out of all their lots. So this is gonna bring on 21 more, 14 will be Rockford 7 running. It'll put us down to one phase after this. So these are all the 80 footers, which would be on the southeast side. That beautiful site, beautiful portion of this, back in the pond, and then you've got trees that were protected on the east side. So excited to keep on that going. We appreciate it. That's great.
Any questions or comments? Right, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Second by Mr. Neff. Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
Names.
I'll make a motion on the emergency.
Second.
Second by Murray Neff. Discussion? Sorry, Murray. Roll call?
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Names.
I'll make a motion on ordinance number 2022.51.
Second.
Second by Murray Neff. Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
All right. Then we have ordinance number 2022.01.2. All right, like that. An ordinance amending the 2022 annual appropriations. I believe this has to do with inspection services. Correct. Steve, you want to add a little bit of color, or would you like Dana to speak to it?
I'll just add, yes, we've had a lot of activity and that translates to higher expenses, and some of this is just what I've called end of the year pencil sharpening, where you get down to the end and you have to sharpen the pencil and all that.
This is pass through for the most part.
Yeah, the majority of it, at least the one item is passed through.
We have inspections, a homeowner is building a house, they're paying for a fee for that.
Precisely, I don't really have much to add to that. Mr. Kyle did hit the nail on the head. It's mainly passed through the 150,000 for the other pass-through zoning fees. Some other pencil sharpening items, as you mentioned, as well as end of the year didn't have it appropriated and need to put some more funds into those banks so that we can cut checks. All of the funds are sufficient to cover the balances.
All right, would anybody like to make a motion? I think we need to pass this probably no later than the 29th or 30th of December.
Emergency tonight would be ideal.
Sorry. I was ready
It
to
actually doesn't even require an emergency because it's budget related by our charter. So if you just want to suspend the rules and then vote it, that would be sufficient.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Got a motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Dana Kaplan,
Second.
second by Tim Ghost. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion on ordinance number 2022.01.2, second then.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Capel, second by Mr. Ghost. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
6 years.
All right, we are on to new and unfinished business, collective bargaining agreement. I think I provided an update earlier on the police report.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions about that at this point? Okay, good deal. Board of Zoning Appeals, appointments. Mr. Piles, looks like we got some applicants.
Yes, we have two positions that were appointed for a one-year term. By the charter, we're supposed to stagger those members. One member, Kurt Shrewsbury, has expressed interest in continuing. Ann Frost has said that she's trying to scale back all of her community commitments a little bit and ask if we had another person that could be appointed, that she would be in a position to step back, and that person's name is Keith Holm. He had applied. Page 28 in your packet is his resume. And let's see, and his cover letter is probably on page 27. And he's over a decade of time here in Sunbury.
Keith, good guy, Sunbury Meadows. You guys all know him.
Gotta be a good guy.
He's on the community Facebook page, I'm sure. All right.
Cool people are.
Any, any questions, comments? And do we need to take action on this? We're
If you
appointing. Mr.
Could,
Palmer.
yes.
Wouldn't be a bad idea to get it done tonight. I mean, that gives them a little bit of lead time, try to bring them up to speed, get them oriented prior to a meeting that could occur as soon as January for that group. These are going to be for 3-year terms. We're done with the staggering into 1, 2, and 3. So it'll be for a 3-year term for both of them. I guess the nice thing is you have 2 qualified applicants and 2 positions. So it makes it, fairly easy.
Yeah. I'm only saying this because it's public record, but Mr. Shrewsbury moving to Rolling Hills from Sunbury Meadows. Public record. All right.
That's where migration going up.
Mary, would you like to make this?
I would like to make the motion to appoint the 2 candidates to the BZA.
Okay, we've got a
Three-year
motion.
term.
Yes, sir. We've got a motion by Councilman Net.
And that would be for the record, Kurt Shrewsbury and Keith Holm.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll second.
We got a second by Mr. John.
Yeah.
It's been a long day. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Thanks.
Right. The Personnel Board of Appeals, one of the last items that we're knocking out from the charter implementation. And we've got 3 people. We need to take action quick before they run away. Is anything you would like to add, Mr. Pyle?
No, other than you do have 3 good candidates. The role of this board is to hear appeals to administrative determinations. And those would be things like time off, if we mandatory time, unpaid time off, or discharge of an employee. And they can hear other personnel related appeals at the council's pleasure, but right now the charter defines that as administrative determinations, so.
Is that just for personnel concerns, not citizen concern? This is strictly city personnel.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's basically due process stuff that.
And do they make decisions or do they just make recommendation back to say council or?
That's an appellate body, so it is
Okay.
important. So
Okay,
there's administrative determination to suspend, to terminate, pay reduction. Any administrative determination will go to this 3-person body. So probably limited amount of scope and limited amount of action. But when they are active, it can be important stuff.
The word is final, and then, yeah. As far as like the city of
Subject
Sun,
to,
Right.
a court,
Right.
within the court system.
Yep.
So it doesn't happen that often. I mean, we had at one point, I did a trial in front of council on the discharge of a police officer. Attorneys, at that point, you were the body, council was. So with our charter, that's now being handed to a separate body, which I think is a good thing.
What's the term?
So this one we have to stagger because this is their initial appointment. So it's 3-year terms also, but we need to have a 1, a 2, and a 3. I don't know if you spoke with them about who
I
has
did
the.
not.
I spoke to them. I think they all have kind of a predisposition, and it'll probably work out. In other words, I think one wants a 1, one wants a 2, one wants a 3.
If we appointed all 3 tonight, then they would just work it out.
Yeah, well, can we do that?
I'd rather have in the appointment what the term is frankly, do we need to necessarily, we've got 3 people. I think council's indicated it's, a desire to appoint the 3 people for the 3 positions that you have. We need to clarify what the terms are, and then we could appoint them formally in 2 weeks. So we could let them know that their appointment is pending, subject to determination of what the terms are.
So maybe, Steve, instead of me just rattling these off, you can reach out to them and try to determine that before our next council meeting.
Absolutely.
Sure. Okay.
Mr. Bremer, are there meetings, public meetings?
Yes.
For sure. And just to restate, some of the folks on city council know some of the individuals. So we have Justin Wood, who was a former military helicopter pilot. He applied for council, I want to say in 2019. Do you remember him? I know you do. Really good guy. I think he's on the Sunbury Mills HOA board. RJ Rents, former president of the HOA of Sunbury Meadows since basically its inception up until about a year ago. And also a bus driver, very unique lens there. And then we have Crystal Mazza, former board member on the library, school board candidate, very involved in the community. So very well-rounded group. All right. Mr. Piles, ball's in your court. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Round who wants 1, who wants 2, who wants 3?
Great. Thank you. All right, blanket purchase orders 2023 information.
Yes, this is just the typical setting of the purchase orders, the blanket purchase orders for the upcoming year, based on the budget that was approved last week. All of these figures that you see come directly from the budget. So nothing has changed with all of this scoped down into a different format in which to set up the POs.
This will require less of me signing purchase orders.
Hopefully, yes.
Okay.
That is the goal.
That's good.
Streamlining
That there will be a staff.
for the mayor.
And that's fine. That's fine. There always is, but there's always a stack every week. Okay, great.
It doesn't require any approval or anything, it's just FYI.
Okay, great. All right, new or unfinished business, Mr. Knapp. Nothing to report, Ms. Cooper.
Yes, downstairs on the first floor of the town hall, it's decorated beautifully for Christmas. And I didn't go into the town hall on Saturday night, so I didn't notice it. But yesterday we had our Rotary meeting and holy cow, the difference in the sound. It is so much better with that decorating in there. I think we seriously need to consider adding more decoration or pads to the seats or something, because it was relaxing. It was enjoyable. Normally our Rotary meetings they're really difficult to hear, and we have a loud furnace or something that's going on down there. And I can't imagine having a baby shower in there, a bridal shower, a kid's birthday party in there with the noise. I know we've tried with the dampening things, but I really think we need to look into doing more, because it was so enjoyable. We were all like, let's just keep the Christmas decor up all year round. I mean, it was a marked difference.
Nice Christmas tree in the corner
It's
too.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks pretty, and you could hear, it was so much more enjoyable.
Good feedback. Are you gonna run with that, or are you asking somebody to do something?
I would like stuff to run with that.
Okay. All right, who's catching it?
And then
Nobody?
No, we can, like, those panels can be doubled up. We can increase the capacity of all of our sound dampening panels down there.
I like the decorative ones. Like, I mean, that picture back there, you wouldn't necessarily know that's a sound dampening.
We had a guest come to Rotary, and she asked me, why are all your pictures covered? she thought that they were blackened out. And so I was like, oh, well, I guess it does look like that.
It's true.
Well,
Okay,
Something,
we'll work on it.
something.
sounds good. Thanks, Steve. Anything else, Mr.?
No, that's it.
All right, Mr. Capel,
Nothing here.
Mr. Grumney.
I just real quick like to say last Saturday was my first chance to participate in the parade at Christmas on the Square there, and it was awesome. A great turnout. So thanks to everyone in the city that had a part in that. And I also like to just publicly thank Murray and Cindy because I know they provided resources to that float and certainly appreciate it. And enjoyed the time. So thank you.
Thanks
Thanks for
to
bringing
Dave
the
for
family.
driving us.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
And DC Wade, thanks for the trip.
Yeah. Thank you for driving us.
The brake check was low, Mike.
For- He gets his fun in when he can.
Somebody wasn't sick.
And just to echo Christmas on the Square, great job by Brad and team on the Christmas tree lights.
Mhm.
I mean, had to be triple what
Oh, yeah.
was on there last year.
Looks great.
That's right. And it made a big impact. I mean, going from not lit to lit, it got quite a bit of oohs and ahs. Mr. Ghost,
Nothing further.
all right, anything from staff? Ready to adjourn?
Wait,
And
Dana, is there
I'm
any-
sorry, Dana.
Sorry, I just mentioned that I will not be here next council meeting, and that's also a finance committee meeting, so if anyone has any questions, please let me know ahead of time.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Amber, you know spreadsheets and.
Want staff to run with that?
It's I was flexible.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Cooper, discussion, roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.